we have the we have the saga that is going on between the EU and Hungary. And I talked about this in my video yesterday. The Orban government, they have been blocking aid to Ukraine. From what I understand, reading Zero Hedge yesterday, the EU wants to give 50 billion to the Zelensky regime. I was thinking like 20 billion. 50 billion is what they want to give it. And they're desperate to give that money to the Zelensky regime. That's what they have in the EU budget. But Hungary is standing in the way because in order to allocate this 50 billion in the budget, it needs the approval of all 27 EU member states. And Orban is saying no. He is not going to approve it. I wonder what Slovakia is going to say to this 50 billion to the Zelensky regime. Keep in mind that Slovakia, unlike Hungary, is on the euro. They actually use the euro currency, so that's trouble for Slovakia, because I can tell you firsthand, coming from Greece and Cyprus, that if the EU wants to weaponize the euro in order to get you to do things, they will weaponize the euro. So Slovakia is in a weaker position, but Hungary, they're not using the euro, so they're pretty much free to tell the European Union, no, we're not going to approve the 50 billion. Now, what the EU does have over Hungary is they have this 21 billion of funds that belong to Hungary that the EU is withholding. Keep in mind, this is Hungary's money. Hungary has been owed this money for like the past 3-4 years, and the EU is deliberately holding it back in order to try and punish the government of Viktor Orban. That is why they are holding this money back. So, as I said in my video yesterday, we have an interesting scenario where the EU is absolutely desperate, especially given what they saw happen in the US House yesterday. They're absolutely desperate to keep Project Ukraine going. And in order to keep Project Ukraine going, they need to get 50 billion. They want to get 50 billion into the hands of the Zelensky regime. But Hungary is standing in the way, and Orban is like, well, you guys owe me 21 billion. I'm waiting for the 21 billion. Where is it? And so now we are getting more and more media outlets saying that Brussels is ready to give Orban 13 billion of that 22 billion that is owed to Hungary. And in exchange for the 13 billion that they're going to give to Orban, they want Orban's yes vote on the Zelensky Ukraine budget. That's the deal that they are making to Orban. Here is what Zero Hedge says. The European Commission is preparing to unfreeze around 13 billion in funds for Hungary to try to avoid Prime Minister Viktor Orban vetoing EU aid for Ukraine in a move likely to draw criticism from the European Parliament. Politico reports on Tuesday the Commission needs the unanimous backing of the bloc's 27 countries for an update to the EU's long-term budget, which includes a 50 billion funding pot for Ukraine. EU aid for Kiev, which was previously approved, runs out in December. Hence the urgency for EU leadership in wanting to push through a new package. Let me read you a tweet here from Tom Luongo connected to this story. First, they steal your money. Then they offer it back to you in exchange for more of what they stole your money for in the first place. Just say no, Mr. Orban. That is a brilliant tweet from Tom. An absolutely brilliant tweet from Tom. He sums it up perfectly. This is your money that they stole from you, Hungary. They stole this money from you. They're withholding it. And now they're saying, in order to get half of this money, a little more than half of this money, we're going to put some terms on the table. And those terms are you have to vote yes for 50 billion to the Zelensky regime. They're making demands. They're making demands of Hungary to give money that is owed to Hungary that they stole from Hungary. And they're making demands in order to return this money that they stole. These guys. Yeah, these guys, they really are pirates. Ursula von der Pirate, Pirate Schultz. They're worse than pirates. I think pirates at least had some honor. Didn't pirates at least live by a code? I mean, these people, man, these people. Wow. So yeah, I think, I think Orban, this is what Orban should tell them. This is my opinion. This is what I would do. I would say, you know what? I don't want 13 billion. I want all of it. I want all the money that is owed to me. And I want it tomorrow. And I want it with interest. You've been holding it for 3-4 years. I want the money plus the interest. And then, when the money is in my bank account, I'll consider voting yes. But I'll consider it. And I reserve the right to vote no. That's what those would be my terms. So, yeah, the Zelensky regime, they actually came out with a statement saying that if they don't get money by December, the government's shutting down. I think they said December or November. Actually, I think they said November. That's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting. They need the money from the US. They need the money from Europe by November. If they don't get that money, they can't pay salaries. They can't pay the salaries of first responders. They can't pay the salaries of the people in parliament. They can't pay Zelensky's salary. They can't pay Podoliak's salary. That's it. Because for the last couple of years, it's been the United States and the EU that has been paying all of Ukraine's salaries, all of Ukraine's needs. Ukraine is not the 51st state. It's much more dependent on the U.S. than any state in the United States. I mean, the federal government, they pay everything for Ukraine, everything. So it got until November. They'll get some money. They'll get money. For this, I have no doubts. But you can't conduct a conflict like this and expect to win. It's that simple. It is over. The best thing for Zelensky to do, if anyone in the collective West, even if you hate Putin, even if you despise Putin, I mean, you despise him. You think he's the second coming of the mustache man. You think he's the worst person in all of history. You hate Russians. You despise Russians. You're racist and bigoted towards Russia. And even if you have those beliefs, right, and they're deep, they're internalized, you still have to come to the same conclusion that it's over. You lost.